The Ardennes offensive was the last major German offensive campaign on the Western Front during the Second World War, which took place from the 16th of December 1944 to the 25th of January 1945. It was launched through the densely forested region between Belgium and Luxembourg. The offensive was intended to stop Allied use of the Belgian port of Antwerp and to split the Allied lines, allowing the Germans to encircle and destroy each of the Allied armies and force the Western Allies to negotiate a peace treaty in the Axis powers' favor. The Germans achieved a total surprise attack on the morning of the 16th of December 1944 due to a combination of Allied overconfidence and poor area reconnaissance due to the bad weather. The American forces were using this region primarily as a rest area for the US First Army, and the lines were thinly held by fatigued troops and inexperienced replacement units. Adolf Hitler personally selected the best troops available for this offensive and officers he trusted. The lead role in the attack was given to the 6th Panzer Army, commanded by SS Obergruppenführer Josef Dietrich. It included the most experienced formations of the Waffen-SS, the 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, and the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend. They were given priority for supply and equipment and assigned the shortest route to the primary objective of the offensive, Antwerp, starting from the northernmost point on the intended battlefront, nearest to the important road network hub of Monschau. Two major special operations were planned for the offensive. The first one is world famous. Otto Skorzenyi, the German SS commando who had rescued the former Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, was to lead a task force of English-speaking German soldiers. These soldiers were to be dressed in American and British uniforms and wear dog tags taken from American prisoners of war. Their job was to go behind American lines and change signposts, misdirect traffic, and generally cause disruption during the offensive. By late November, another, less well-known, but also very ambitious special operation was added. Colonel Friedrich August von der Heydte was to lead a Fallschirmjäger Kampfgruppe, so a paratrooper combat group, in Operation Stösser or Hawk, the first nighttime paratrooper drop of the German army behind the Allied lines, aimed at capturing a vital road junction near Malmedy. Von der Heydte, a seasoned paratrooper commander and veteran of the Airborne assault on Crete, was summoned on the 8th of December and told to prepare for a mission, but not given any details. Heydte was given 8 days to prepare. He wanted to use his own and trusted regiment, but this was forbidden because its movement might alert the Allies to an impending counterattack. Instead, he was provided with a brand new unit of 800 men. The German 2nd Parachute Corps was tasked with contributing 100 men from each of its regiments. Instead of contributing their best men as ordered, the regiments sent their misfits and troublemakers. But Heydte could not afford to resist too strongly. He was the cousin of Klaus von Stauffenberg, the central figure in the 20th of July 1944 assassination attempt on Hitler, and he was under scrutiny. The man had little time to establish unit cohesion or train together. Many of the men assigned to Haite had never jumped out of an airplane before. Haite later commented, "Never in my entire career had I been in command of a unit with less fighting spirit." To avoid alerting the Allied forces, the German command planned to conduct the drop without first conducting reconnaissance or taking aerial photographs. On the 13th of December, Haite visited the headquarters of the German Army Group B to complain that the resources allocated to him for the operation were totally inadequate. Field Marshal Walter Model, who had tried to persuade Hitler to attempt a less ambitious counterattack, replied that he gave the entire offensive less than a 10% chance of succeeding. Model also told him that it was necessary to make the attempt. It must be done because this offensive is the last chance to conclude the war favorably. The Luftwaffe assigned 2 airlift units to Operation Stösser. The second group of the Transportgeschwader, so Transport Wing 3, under the command of Major Otto Baumann, and the third group of the Transportgeschwader 4, an ad hoc unit organized on short notice. Baumann, a veteran airlift pilot who flew at Crete and Demyansk, also commanded this group during the Stalingrad airlift and in the Tunisian bridgehead as well. By December of 1944, no veterans of his group remained except their commander. Based at Paderborn airfield, Baumann's pilots had some operational experience. Many executed parachute resupply and assault airlift operations under fire almost continuously since the summer of 1943. The other group lacked comparable experience or proficiency. Much of the force arrived to their operational squadrons straight from pilot training. They lacked skills in night flying, navigation, and airdrop operations. None had flown a Junkers Ju-52 in formation before. Curtailed training programs, inexperienced instructors, and fuel shortages produced a pilot force unable to execute the basic missions of the airlift. The drop itself was delayed for a day when the assigned aircraft did not show up. The new drop time was set for 3 a.m. on the 17th of December. The drop zone was 11 kilometers north of Malmedy. Their objective was to seize the crossroads and hold it for approximately 24 hours until relieved by the 12th SS Panzer Division, hampering the flow of Allied reinforcements and supplies in the area. Just after midnight on the 17th of December, 112 Junkers Ju-52 transport planes with around 1,200 paratroopers took off during a powerful snowstorm with strong winds and considerably low cloud cover. Many planes went off course during the drop. 250 men were dropped near Bonn, 80 kilometers from the intended drop zone. Strong winds deflected many paratroopers whose planes were relatively close to the intended drop zone and made their landings far harder. only a fraction of the force landed near the intended drop zone. Since many of the German paratroopers were very inexperienced, some were crippled upon impact and died where they fell. Some were found the following spring when the snow melted. But because of the extensive dispersal of the drop, the Fallschirmjäger were reported all over the Ardennes, and the Allies believed a large, division-sized jump had taken place, causing the Americans much confusion and convincing them to allocate men to secure the rear instead of facing the main German thrust at the front. An entire US infantry regiment of 3,000 men from the 18th US Infantry Division, along with an armored combat command of 300 tanks, surged several days for the German paratrooper force. By noon on the 17th of December, Heite's unit had scouted the woods and rounded up a total of around 300 paratroopers. With only enough ammunition for a single fight, this force was too small to take the crossroads on its own. Heite first planned to wait for the arrival of the 12th SS Panzer Division, when they would suddenly seize the crossroads just before their arrival. The 12th SS Panzer Division, unable to defeat the Americans at the Battle of Airborne Ridge, never arrived. After 3 days of waiting, Heite abandoned his plans and instead converted his mission to reconnaissance. With only a single day's food supply and limited water, on the 19th of December, Heite withdrew his force towards the German lines. He used their limited ammunition to attack the rear of the American lines. Only about 1/3 reached the German rear. Heite, wounded, frostbitten, and suffering from pneumonia, knocked on doors in Monschau until he found a German family. The next morning, he sent a boy with a surrender note to the Allies. He was taken prisoner on the 23rd of December 1944 and remained in custody until 1947. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support my channel, check out the PayPal donation link in the description or consider becoming a member. To make sure you don't miss my future work, subscribe to my channel please and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.